Hey coaches, appreciate you tuning my YouTube channel. This week's been about defense, specifically tackling 101. And so we went through kind of the base way we teach tackling, keep our head out using our shoulders, squeezing and bringing our hips and our feet through the tackle, which are huge points for us. You can use a tackling ring, use partners. A lot of drills we're going to talk about are with partners because I can't afford to get 500 of those little tackling rings unless somebody wants to send them to me. So most of our drills are going to be with a person. I've found that while there is a place for dummies and rings, we tackle people. And so I want to make sure that we're simulating that in practice. So I'm going to give you two drills we do for profile tackling. So profile tackling for me is just we're going to tackle from some sort of angle or from some sort of space. You have kind of a base tackle where that's squared up. Those happen some in football, and they do 4th and 1. You got to teach that. Now we're going to bring our feet with us, but most tackles now happen out in space. The way the game is going, you're seeing a lot of tackles that you're going to have to make a tackle in space and understand things like leverage. We're going to get into 2-on-1 and then team pursuit in the next couple days. But today we're going to talk about kind of a 1-on-1 tackle. So from space, key points we want is we want to make sure that we are getting our shoulder into the contact. We don't want space between our feet and them. What that means is we would like to run as close to the player as we can. We tell our guys that kind of seems counterintuitive. You would think I better break down at 5 yards, but if I'm doing that, I'm giving that guy a whole lot of room to make a move. So we want to cut down as much space as possible and then come to balance. A lot of mistakes you're going to see in a couple of these drills are our players will break down too soon, and then they'll try to make tackles like this instead of getting everything through it. We tell them, hey, if you get run over because you got where you're supposed to get, that's a tackle. But if you wait and lunge or dive and miss, a lot of times that's going to be a big play for them. So a couple of drills we'll do. We start off with a lot of people will call angle tackling. All we're going to do is we're going to have our defensive line kind of this direction, our partner this direction. Everybody does this, but there's some key points you need to coach. And so partners will be here. They're going to go to whatever specific cone they're working towards, and we'll vary our speed. We start off with walking, and then we go to a little bit faster, and then a little bit faster. We're not really wanting contact. When we first start this out, they'll walk, and then they'll break down, and we'll have a whistle and make sure they're in the correct position when they're broke down. That ought to be the defender is dropped down below, or his shoulder is on the hip or the rear end. If he can get all the way down to the thigh, that's even better. And then we're going to blow the whistle again, lift and run. And then we're going to progress that drill up to now they're having to come in space, come to balance, boom, lift, and then we're going to let them go. We're going to move them back. Okay? That's just an angle tackle. Everybody does that. Just make sure you're coaching up the key points. We now don't teach to get our head across. We're actually going to track the back hip. If we're playing inside leverage, which that drill's simulating, we're going to be playing that back hip. The idea being, if that kid cuts back, we're in a great spot. Okay, because we're funneling him towards the sideline. We're playing inside leverage. So back hip, we're going to work towards him, sink, lift, and then run. Okay, we want to close the space down before we break all the way down. We want to get low, we want to initiate contact here, and we want to run our feet and bring our hips with us as we make the tackle. That's angle tackle. A lot of people do that. Just a couple of little key points you can do in that. We do this every day. Pretty much every day we're doing some form of this with our kids. Second one is a good drill we call like a choice drill. So it's kind of a little bit more advanced version of an angle tackle. So now what we're going to do is our defender is going to start from space, and he's going to make up space into a box. Okay, that box is usually pretty small early on. You may progress it later on. We're going to make up space into the box full speed, so we're simulating coming from space. So a great drill to do with DBs, linebackers, guys are going to be making tackles in space. The partner is waiting here at the box. When the defender crosses the line, he goes, and he has two choices. He can go to that, he can go to that. He's not running a guy over, we're not trying to kill anybody, but he's going to run at him and make a cut one way or the other. So we're not juking at this point. We're just making a cut one way or the other. So now our defender has to come full speed, then come to balance, continuing to move forward. You don't just want to run in place. We want to keep moving forward and closing the space. And then when he commits, we're going to track that hip. All we're trying to simulate now is an alley filler from safety, maybe an outside linebacker on a bubble screen, faster, whatever it is. We're having to close the space down really quickly, come to balance. When that guy makes a decision, we ought to be squeezing the space. We talk about, I've said that several times now, squeeze the air out of the space. Because you get the ball to a great athlete, the last thing you want to be doing is standing in place like this, because he's going to make a move and you're going to look really, really silly. So squeeze that space down, and then that tackle is going to be performed the same way we perform the angle tackle, which is the same way we taught him with the base tackle, which all of these things you hopefully are seeing are kind of building on each other. So it's just 2 different drills to really teach that kind of spatial profile tackle where we're not squared up coming right at him. Now we're coming from space to make a tackle. A couple drills you can use that'll help you in that. Next couple days I'm going to walk through a couple 2-on-1, which is basically working leverage at that point, or some hip drill and some things we do to incorporate kind of a pursuit drill that's more realistic for your team. Again, I've got a ton of information. That 3-4 book is available now for pre-order on my website. I've got a couple different PowerPoints or materials you can go on there as well that have some of these drills actually, they're actually embedded in the PowerPoint. So if you get those, you'll actually see the drills on there that we're kind of walking through. Appreciate you guys' time, and I'll see you tomorrow.